Welcome to this MBL webinar entitled Listed Buildings, the Pitfalls for Conveyancers. My name is Lorraine Richardson, and as you may or may not know, I'm a solicitor and property trainer, done both for a long time now, and I have been freelance since 2018, but I still have my practicing certificate, and I do lots of things now, including sessions for lovely people like MBL, and I've written a couple of books there. Details are on the screen. And but you're not here to listen to my advertising. You want to hear what I've got to say about listed buildings, which are a type of property where with which you need to be wary. I mean, if you're used to dealing with listed buildings and you're very experienced at dealing with listed buildings, then maybe this session isn't for you. But there may be the odd thing here and there to pick up. But certainly, if you are, a little bit less experienced, or you're still a bit anxious about listed buildings, well, I'm going to, take you through some of the some of the main issues that, as conveyancers, we face when dealing with a listed building in a conveyancing transaction. And because there are risks, there's risks to the client in purchasing a listed building, and as a consequence, therefore, risks to the firm advising them, really. In addition to planning risks, which I would say is probably the biggest, there are a host of other concerns, and there are issues, in my view, that really need to concern the seller and the buyer. When we're thinking about conveyancing, we often think about acting for the buyer on these difficult properties and the problems that they face and that we face as a consequence. But actually, when you're advising a seller, there are some important things to consider, and I will sort of pick those up as we go through. And something that's a bit of a sort of listed building chestnut is whether you need an EPC, an energy performance certificate, and I will consider that for you. So what I'm going to do is highlight some of the pitfalls and obviously throughout sort of consider the advice that we should give. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time in terms of what I'm going to cover on what is a listed building. I will then move on to think about the energy performance certificate and whether we need one. One of the big risks is planning and enforcement, which I'm obviously going to consider. And as I say, the pitfalls for the seller and the buyer are considered throughout. I think indemnity insurance is an interesting one as far as a listed building is concerned, and which I will mention. And of course, as ever, the presence of the lenders and their views and their obligations that they impose on us via the handbook can never be forgotten.